Good morning, everybody. So today we are finally doing a review video for these Super Plush recovery shoes from Roll Recovery. So again, Roll Recovery was very kind to send these to me, and I have been using these for the past probably couple months here to really get a full understanding and appreciation of these shoes. So we're gonna go through the day here. I don't know what the day will bring. We got a couple of sick kids in the house, so you all know how that can be. So we're gonna do our best to go through this, but gotta say, I do enjoy some good recovery shoes. So let's go talking about the features real quick. So up top we have some super stretchables air yarn, and I did take a look at some of the makeup of the shoe, and it's pretty interesting here. You know, very, very breathable. I usually don't wear shoes, or I usually don't wear socks with recovery footwear. I've kind of gone back and forth here, and I'll have some thoughts about that here in a little bit. But you can kind of see how it's able to be squished down, and you can kind of do it without the heel, but it's usually preferred with the heel. And then we got the Super Bloom. We got the Bloom Technologies midsole, which is interesting. I did actually do a little bit of a deep dive into what that's all about. And you're looking at algae, right, and seaweed being repurposed to create foams and midsoles for products. I spent probably way too much time looking into what that's all about, and that's super duper interesting. We probably could do a separate video on what's going on with carbon impact and footwear and foams and other materials and all that cool stuff. But we'll focus on the shoe here. So yeah, my thing is I do like that there is a little bit of a coverage for the toes. I don't know if I really enjoy that my big toe doesn't have a ton of protection up top here. I like that there's a little bit of stretch. That's nice. What I will say is these shoes, after a long day of whatever, life, running, you name it, it's usually in my scenario coming home from work, and I take off my work shoes and I put on these guys, and then I very rarely will ever go barefoot or stocking foot in my house. I usually have some kind of shoe or footwear on. All right, and so here's the insert, and I think a lot of the magic is happening here in the insert. Okay, it's very, very thick, and you can kind of see there's supposed to be a arch support. I was just starting to talk about some of the guts of the shoe. We'll get into that a little bit. I have my little one that just came upstairs, so I'm gonna go entertain her, slash procrastinate cleaning up the house, and we'll get back to you. All right, here we are. Woo, back up in the bedroom. All right, so these Roll Recovery shoes. Okay, here they are again. And so, I do, close the door. I do appreciate what Roll Recovery is doing. Like I said, I do a lot of, wearing of recovery style shoes, either slides or over here. Sit. I do appreciate what Roll Recovery is doing with the recovery footwear. Like I said before, I do wear a lot of recovery footwear. In the house, I rarely ever go barefoot. So some of the guts here are, we talked about this air yarn. I do like how stretchy this piece is here that attaches to kind of the heel piece of the shoe. It's got this little bit of stretch going on here. So as you pull it on with this fun little tab here, it does, sink right up. There's really not a lot of fuss, but I don't like that I have to, get my built-in shoehorn finger back there to put it on all the time. I do like a hands-free placement of the shoe. I mean, it's possible to do it here where you would step into it, and smush the heel down and then shimmy it up. But that doesn't work all the time with either socks or bare feet. Like low entry, I'm talking like from the bed to the floor to go do whatever. Like 1:45 this morning, I remember my dog waking up and wanting to be out. And so I insist on, again, wearing something, especially in the middle of the night, some kind of shoes, some kind of footwear, because there's gosh know how many landmines out there for my kids that can injure me. So, that's not super fun having to bend down to do that, but it takes so little time, so it's not that big of a deal. So also, I don't know if we mentioned it downstairs, The midsole of the Super Plush by Roll Recovery does have a positive environmental piece going on. The midsole foam here is largely composed of algae and seaweed through Bloom Technologies. I looked them up, I checked them out, I spent a lot of time reading up on them, and what they're doing is basically taking algae and turning it into foams and looks like plastics and that through a pretty intense process. And so I figured that, you know, that right there is pretty sweet. And I see that, you know, in a couple of other areas, and maybe even considering doing a separate video on that. Also, going back to the air yarn, there's a lot of recycled plastics going on here too. So super cool that Roll Recovery is enrolling in that kind of paradigm for their footwear. And so thinking about some of the structural pieces going on in the shoe, this is a really sweet insert, but I think a lot of the technology is going on here. You can kind of see these little suspension buds going on for the arch area, for the heel area. There's, you know, quite a bit of a heel cup going on, keeping that heel nice and intact. Right? What I mean by that is the fat pad of the tissue underneath your heel bone is allowed to stay compressed and not pancake out, which can lead to a little bit of heel pain over time if that is just allowed to kind of bounce back and forth. So here's the shoe without the insert in. I'm not sure if you can really see that super duper well. There's a bunch of dog hair and everything, but without this insert, this is scratchy. It is not pleasant feeling, but it's also not meant to be walked around without the insert in. So going into some of the guts of the shoe here, you can kind of see the heel counter, the heel piece here. It is this kind of, you know, very delicate material here that kind of rubs against the heel. You know, it's separate from the rest of the shoe in there, and it's held in there by glue. Like you can kind of peel it back, you can kind of see the sides there. So, you know, a little bit of a manufacturing thing, but again, you can't really feel that as you're walking around. It kind of stays in place, but just know that it's there. There's a little bit of a pillow that kind of, you know, works along with the heel bone right here that keeps it in place. So yeah, here is the heel pillow that I was just talking about. There we go. Oh, look at that. And here's that little heel pillow that I was talking about right here. And you can kind of see into the shoe here now that we're like super duper in the light there. So again, upper, and then the midsole, and then the outer, which is a part of the midsole. And then I like this little bit of rubber that's going on in the heel. So as a person is walking around, you know, there's gonna be a lot of heel strike, I feel like, with these shoes, because, you know, you're not doing a lot of forefoot or midfoot landing with a recovery shoe. Okay, so I did mention this previously, and I'll probably say it again here, that I would say that a person would probably spend more time, right, as far as hours go, with recovery shoes, because these are something that I'm wearing all the time, right? I'm wearing these in the house, I'm wearing these as soon as I get home from work, and so if I were to add up all the hours, I don't even know. It's a lot. It's definitely way more than any of the shoes that I have downstairs for running purposes. So I think it does deserve some notice and attention as far as what's going on our feet during those times, since it is such a long period of time. All right, and so I see that this is kind of got a loosey-goosey thing to it. I would almost want it to be a little bit more stiff. All right, instead of this bending motion, having it a little bit stiffer, maybe a little bit thicker, so that the foot doesn't have to, you know, work quite as much. I did notice that my foot is bending quite a bit here, and I know I'm getting into the weeds a little bit, but again, this is a $110 shoe, and so I think, you know, we can, it deserves to have, you know, a decent look here. All right, and so, you know, it's definitely got that like ninja slipper thing going on. I personally would like it to be a little bit stiffer so that I'm not having to fatigue my foot. At least I think that my foot is feeling a little bit more fatigued versus, say, some of the other slides that are out there. Okay, but the step-in comfort with this insert is super nice. Actually, the arch is very, very obvious and nice feeling. I do like a nice high arch. I don't want my foot to have to reach for or work for anything, especially whenever it comes to recovery footwear. All right, there's enough of that stuff going on already. Okay, and now the traction is actually pretty good. So again, I'm walking around the house and there's all kinds of dog hair and kid toys and you know, whatever else. There's water, there's oil. I have found that this actually does have a nice grippy texture, and it has you know, protected my foot, and I haven't had any incidents with it. I can be a bit clumsy. Okay, and then also going down the stairs, there's a carpeted, you know, piece that goes down. You know, I'm like charging down the stairs and everything like this. This actually holds onto that carpet pretty good. I was a little bit nervous in the beginning, you know, that there might be a little bit too much slipperiness going on there, but it held in there. And as the shoe has been worn down a little bit, this rubber has actually opened up. It's a little bit more sticky now. And so actually the traction feels like it has increased. So I'm not supposed to be going outside with my recovery footwear. I'm supposed to switch over, but I do, and these perform just fine outside too. Okay, so that leads me to cleaning. So I said that I don't typically wear socks with recovery footwear. I might if I have them on, but I'm not gonna, in my mind, the theory should be I don't need to be seeking that out in order to put on something that I'm wearing in the house. So it can get a little gamey. It is a little bit gamey, and that's true for all of my shoes that in slides and, you know, everything else that I've worn on the inside for a longer period of time. So that's not the shoe's fault, that's on me. So I wonder what cleaning is going to be all about with these. You know, there are shoes that are specific to be able to go into the washing machine and be washed. I don't see that mentioned anywhere on the website, so I'm not going to do that for fear that, you know, it's going to break down some of the glue, some of the materials here. But what I will do later on and see how it goes is hand washing this with some detergent, and then maybe doing like a little bit of a wash to this too, because again, I'm going around and I'm walking in these, and they it's not pleasant. Let's just keep it that way.
All right, let's wash them up. A little bit of detergent here. That's all we need. Shoe number one. Give it a wash. Here we go. Woo. Here we go. Not perfect, but we'll just let that dry. Move on to the actual shoe here. All right, I'm gonna do the same thing to the next one. Let this dry out overnight, and then we can see how things go in the morning. All right, to dry the shoes, just gonna pop them over one of these vents and spread these out throughout the house.
All right, here it is the next day, and these shoes are nice and dry, and they smell good. Here we go. Yep, no more funk. All right, let's put them on and see how they feel. Good as new. These are available in a variety of colors, and I know that Roll Recovery has a slide coming out that is, I don't have the details of that yet, but it looks to be a lot like some of the recovery footwear, plus some cool features coming up here in the future. So I would be looking out for that. And, you know, I think that Roll Recovery is definitely onto something. They're getting into that recovery shoe game. They are definitely known for their rollers and their post-workout recovery stuff. And this is a pretty sweet thing that we can talk about in a separate video. But now they're getting into care of the feet. Care of the feet for those that do hard things. And, you know, it's not just athletes that can benefit from this sort of stuff. You know, I work in the foot care business, and we talk a lot about recovery footwear for those, you know, even non-runners, even non-active folks. So I think that there's a place for this. You know, if a person has feet, then they can probably benefit from this model. Okay. All right, everybody. So I'm not sure if you can see me or if the dog's in the way. You know, this is life. This is life as a shoe tuber, a midlife shoe tuber over here. So, all right, everybody. I hope that you are doing well. This has been the Roll Recovery Super Plush Classic. There it is on your screen. It's lovely. It's really nice. So I'm gonna go wash these and probably let them dry for several hours and then get going on them again. And hopefully they freshen up, which I'm sure they will. All right, that's all I got. Thank you so much. Have a wonderful day. Bye. Thank you. Good job. Good job.
Yeah, Winnie!
Okay.